This is part 2 of a series of videos covering blob modeling and the blob features within TwistedBrush Pro Studio. I'm using version 16.05. Starting out with the default settings here in TwistedBrush. In the second part, I'm going to show how to get started with working with the blob brushes and the blob system in TwistedBrush. The first part of the video series I just covered just a quick demonstration of some of the things you can do, but not necessarily how to do them. So in this video, we'll cover how to actually get started. First thing to know, our default is always generally with this background layer. Keep in mind we cannot use the blob brushes on the background layer. So you'll always have to start with creating a layer. So here I'm clicking in the layer mini bar to create a layer. I'm going to right click and select blob layer. In parentheses is alpha smooth loom 3, which is the mix mode, which is being set for this layer. If we pull up the layers panel by clicking here, we'll see that the mix mode here is set to alpha smooth loom 3. So the shortcut of right clicking here and selecting that is strictly that, a shortcut, so we didn't have to pull up this this layers panel. You could see in here there are multiple alpha smooth modes. Alpha smooth loom through alpha smooth loom 5 are the mix modes that would be required for doing any blob modeling. The default is loom 3, and we're going to leave it there. And I'm going to close this layers box for right now. So going to our brushes, in order to work on a blob layer, really it's designed to use brushes which are in these ArtSets that begin with the word blob. Typically you'll start with brushes from the blob modeler ArtSet, and the purpose of this is you can add the paint to your layer or subtract the paint from your layer here. So this is typically where you start, because without the basic paint on your layer you're not going to really be able to use some of the other modeling and painting tools. So I'm going to select a soft add here from the blob modeler ArtSet. And we're on our layer here, which is a blob layer, and it's simply as you start painting. And the more you paint, as we covered in the first video, the stronger the highlights. There are a variety of different brushes for adding the paint to your layer. And here I'm just showing just one of the basic ones. Here's another one, brush to add. So it's actually more of a brush stroke, so you can see a little more texture. Even though we still have the highlights in here, it's a little more texturized. So when we're adding paint here, we could also subtract, which is really erasing the paint. So I'm going to select soft sub. Also what I'm going to do here at this point is hide the background layer by clicking here in the layer mini bar. I would see the little closed eye and going back to our blob layer. So we can see we have pretty much an object defined with the blobs, and with the soft sub selected, we can see as I start to paint we're erasing or really digging into this object. So and there are a variety of brushes here for subtracting. Here it's a harder edge. One thing to keep in mind throughout doing any blob work is the opacity slider is controlling the strength here. So if I put it all the way up and uncheck the stylus, you can see I'm eating away quickly at the object which I've already painted. If I move the slider all the way down and maybe select the stylus button again, you can see it's much more gradual. So the opacity, it's very good to know, the opacity level is controlling the amount of data or the level of highlight within a blob.